Glad to have you back. It's still Business Daily right here on Trust Television. Now we're going to look at another topic. Now we're looking at Nigeria's investment drive. We're looking towards some of these foreign countries for investment. And of course, you know, the Vice President of Nigeria is off to Cuba for a G77 meeting. How much of this investment have we been able to get so far, and what has been the impact on the economy? I have joining me in the studio Mr. Joseph Ago. Is a policy analyst. Glad to have you on Business Daily.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Later on the show, we expect Mr. Mukhtar Mohammed to join us virtually from Lagos. Let's look at our drive for foreign investment. We seems to be so much a concern about what is coming from outside and building the local capacity.
Yeah, it happens with every new administration. There's that promise to increase foreign directs, for whether it's foreign direct investment or portfolio investments, foreign portfolio investments in the economy. So again, it is very common with new administrations to promise increase efforts in attracting foreign direct investments into the local economy.
All right. Talking about getting foreign direct investment, just like you rightly mentioned, every administration usually get this kind of attention from some of these foreign countries, but it doesn't really transform to economic gains for Nigeria.
Of course, most of it, like the just concluded G20 summit
in India.
Yeah,
there was BRIC also in South Africa.
Of course. So all of these largely are promises. But again, with promises, you can't really bank on promises. But again, I mean, without losing sight of the main issue, these are positives anyway. Promises are positives anyway. But at the end of the day, these are promises. But what I think the Nigerian government should really focus on, again, I'll give a very clear example. Before you talk about foreign direct investment into the local economy, there are two steps before that. The first is the fundamental questions that the Nigerian government should answer would be, number one, what is the appetite of local investors within the Nigerian economy? What's the appetite like at the moment? The second is, what is the interest of the diaspora community in investing or bringing back financial support or resources or technological know-how into the Nigerian economy? We would have to answer these two questions before we begin to talk about foreign governments or foreign corporations investing in our local economy.
In Nigeria, talking about, I am so concerned when our government or our leaders go out of the country to look for foreign investors to come in. Are you supposed to look for foreign investors, or you need to just, do your own due diligence, make your environment comfortable?
Of course, I mean, it begins with that. The government would need to sit back, spend several months to really do a thorough assessment on the Nigerian economy. In other words, the government would have to do its homework before you start embarking on trips. You need to highlight a part of the economy that you really need to get starting as fast as possible. You need to also look at parts of the economy that you think, I mean, with the way the world is going, we really have a comparative advantage. You also need to look at the parts of the economy that, I mean, in the past years have shown very positive signs before you go out there to begin to shop for foreign investors.
Okay, talking about shopping for foreign investors, I'm so worried about that, this shopping for foreign investors, because I believe that when your economy is good and there's a kind of is reliable, there is a conducive business environment, as a foreign investor, I know that if I do my business, I can easily repatriate my profits to my country. I don't think you need to come and look for me to come and invest in your economy. Don't you think so?
Of course. I mean, people generally want to be part of entities or systems that are making progress. So, I mean, look at India, for example. At the time, India and Nigeria were competing for, the award for which is the most poorest country in the world. But look at how much progress India has made under its new Prime Minister, Narendra Modi. I mean, most of the tech CEOs that you think of in the world are going to have meetings with Narendra Modi. World leaders are going to have meetings with Narendra Modi, because the man, of course, by the way, is a physics professor. He got into government and decided to drop a roadmap, and it was very, very clear. I mean, you go online, you'll see that developmental roadmap, and there were necessary steps that were taken to really give the people looking from outside the indicators that these countries go. And just a very little story about India. This is a country that used to be the outsourcing capital of the world. I mean, for those of us that used landline, if you're calling America, for example, you'd have to route it first to India before it gets to America.
Exactly.
I mean, at some point, all the customer care services of companies around the world were opening up stores in India. But you see, India moved from just providing primary skilled labor, I mean, to becoming, I mean, for people that did engineering, for example, you know the name Gupta from engineering maths. For people that studied medicine and pharmacology, you would also familiar with the name Gupta. So they made giant strides in engineering. They also made giant strides in medicine. India at the moment is the world's capital for pharmaceuticals. India, under COVID, at some point decided to say they were not going to send out malaria medicine to any other part of the world and needles. And some countries felt it was an act of war against them. So they quickly moved, they invested in education. I mean, look at the two top CEOs in the world. The CEO for Google is Indian, the CEO for Microsoft is Indian.
All right.
Both of them had their university education in India. One in India Institute for Technology and the other one, Manipal Institute for Technology. And these two universities were modeled after the Massachusetts Institute of Technology.
Interesting submission there. I understand Mukhtar Mohammed is live with us now from Lagos. Good morning, Mukhtar. Hello, if you can hear me, Mukhtar, let's look at this Nigeria's drive for foreign investment. We are always going outside to look for foreign investors. Don't you think we need to do our homework, make the economic attractive for foreign investors to come in by themselves? Do we need to go out looking for them anyway?
Yes, we have to go. After 8 years of being a pariah nation when it comes to investment, I think it's the best thing the president is doing is what he's doing now. Remember, for 8 years, we became more or less a pariah nation for investors to come into our country. So I definitely think the best thing the president is doing is to let them understand that we are back. There are a lot of things that they expected us to do before that we didn't do. So we've done them now, even if we are not seeing the result in the immediate term, but we've done them. We need to let them know that, look, this is where we are now. We are attractive. We are attractive because it's just like you have a product, you have to go and market the product. I think for me, that's a good one the president is doing now.
All right, interesting there, a good one. So many promises have been made in the past. I remember during the last administration, there was a currency swap deal that was done with the People's Bank of China. The impact of that agreement was not really felt on the economy. I think the idea then was to bypass dollar, but that wasn't the case.
Yeah, it wasn't the case because it was done in a hurry. It was done to just that's my fear again. I hope the president visits to UAE and other nations is just to hype us. You've gone to China, you've gone to India, and people are excited. You've gotten pledge. Remember, it's pledge. It's pledge. So pledge, there are a lot of things that comes with pledge. Just like the UAE, it comes with a lot of things that we are not yet told, because we must remember that when Etihad or Emirates left Nigeria, they didn't leave because we have visa issue. They left because they were not able to repatriate their money back. They're not going to repatriate that money. What about other airlines that have stood with you through thick and thin? Are you going to say you want to settle Emirates and Etihad and leave those other airlines? So there are a lot of things. So it's just pledges. But the good thing about it, like I said, is that the president is going somewhere. and the president is telling them, come and invest in my market, come and invest in my economy, create job for my youth. That's what I want you to do. It's not like before, whereby the former president travel, what he's telling them, can I have money? Can you borrow me money? I need to build infrastructure. This is what our president said, can you come and invest in my country? And so that my people can get job, and then you can make your money, and I will make sure that you're able to repatriate your money back. And so that's why I think it's a good marketing strategy that he's doing.
What about we now addressing the challenges we have, especially with regards to the ease of doing business? Is that not the starting point? Don't you think that should be the starting point?
We've been a country in progress for a while. I think in the area of the ease of doing business, we have visa on arrival. It's not as bad as it used to be before. So, but there's still a lot of work to be done. You talk about the fundamentals, which I totally agree with you. We need to put the fundamentals right. We need to create a two-way exchange system, because just recently we've been downgraded to unclassified by the Financial Times Stock Exchange, which is a platform where investors, especially foreign portfolio investors, look at towards investing in your market. And you know, we need those inflow of effects into our economy, especially at a time like this. So that's why we need to address the fundamentals, which I totally agree with you. But then in the aspect of the ease of doing business, I think we are getting better. There's still room for improvement. I don't think the main challenge that we have as a nation now is, does the fundamentals of our economy will be able to withstand the investors that we are trying to bring in? We have the fundamentals, just like you talked about the floating of the currency, which is fine, fantastic. But do we have the technicality to be able to swim with the tide? And that is why you are seeing the Naira is taking a lot of battle, because we are not used to such floating. We have already been used to manage control. So a lot of things need to be done. We need to get the fundamentals right.
Talking about a lot of things that need to be done, Mukhtar, before I come to Mr. Joseph, the World Bank has also raised a concern about Nigeria's macroeconomic management, that there's so much a concern. If you look at the report from the CPIA there, we have been downgraded to 3.2 points. That has been there since 2001. What do you make of this assessment?
I don't make anything of it because the World Bank initially told us to float our currency. They told us to remove subsidy. We've done that, and now you are saying this and that. What help have they given to us? They told us before, you float your currency, remove subsidy. We floated the currency, we've removed subsidy. What help have the World Bank done to us? I think it's high time we begin to look at homegrown economic policy than just looking at World Bank. World Bank was the one that introduced cash transfer measures for us to the vulnerable. They didn't even take into consider that we don't even know who are the vulnerable. We don't have the data of the vulnerable. And today, those policies have resulted to a lot of wastage that would have been used to build infrastructure. Politicians have hijacked it. So they need to look at the peculiarity of our economy and begin to make begin to give us what they think we should do. So as for now, I think the World Banks need to come and help Nigeria, not telling us about we have done what they say they wanted us to do for the past 18 years. What have they brought to the table since we have done that? What measure are they doing now to ease the hardship of the removal of subsidy? What measure are they doing to ease the battering of our Naira since we have decided to float the Naira, which has been their cry for years? So that should be what they should concentrating on, not telling us our macroeconomic challenges, and that we know those macroeconomic challenges are there. And those macroeconomic challenges are there as a result of some of the policies that we have had, policy that we have taken to drive the economy in the near future. So what they should be telling us is to tell us if they are coming to help us in one way or the other.
All right, Mr. Joseph, you've heard Mukhtar. The World Bank is are they throwing a spinner into some of the reforms or the progress that we are trying to make so far as a country? He talked about, the homegrown economy, concentration on the homegrown economy.
So, of course, like I argued before, the first step is we need to really analyze the appetite of our local investors. Then we need to see how we can engage the Nigerian diaspora community before we begin to talk about foreign direct investment. India didn't become the new bride of the world, overnight. There was local investments in the Indian economy. There was diaspora pool investment before other governments or other corporations. So
you don't think that we as a country we're getting our own framework right?
No, we are not. We are putting the cart before the horse. Foreign is good. It's good to attend all of these meetings. But all of these meetings they don't translate to so much. And as a matter of fact,
it's more like academic.
We're not like the I saw the outline for the last G20 meeting. It was still talk around the Ukraine-Russia war. There's no real discourse around African economies. So we're not front and center in global discourse. Whether it's COP20, whether it's BRICS, whether it's G20 or G8 or G7, we need to get our fundamentals right. We need to look inwards. We need to take care of those legacy issues before we start talking about.
All right, Mr. Mukhtar, in 30 seconds, what do you make of the Vice President attending the G77 summit in Cuba?
Maybe I throw the question back to you. What do you make of the President attending the G20 summit in India? What has he come up with? It's just a jamboree as far as I'm concerned. Like my colleague in the studio have said, we need to get our act right. We don't just start launching like if we are begging them to come and invest in our economy. But it's good to go to those meetings and market our product. We have too much product. We shouldn't go there begging. We should go there marketing. That's my take.
All right. The question is whether we are marketing properly. I must thank you, Mukhtar Mohammed, financial analyst and CEO Finance with Mukhtar. I must thank you for your time. And of course, here in the studio, Mr. Joseph, a policy analyst. I also thank you for your time on Business Daily.
Thank you very much.
And that's a wrap on the show today. We'll be back tomorrow. I am Yusuf Akogun.